So if you've been playing the piano for some time now, then you know playing scales and technical exercises all the time in the same pieces over and over again can get pretty boring very quickly. But I've got a little secret that I'm gonna let you in on right now. Chord progressions are where it's at. If you start adding cool chord progressions and patterns to your music, things really start to get interesting with your piano playing. With the right chord patterns and chord progressions, you can start playing all kinds of music, whether it's in styles of jazz, classical, movie themes, or even pop music. It depends whatever you want to play. It's all possible. So in this video, I'm going to show you my 5 most favorite ones I absolutely love chord patterns that I do right now every time I play the piano. By the way, it's Josh your Piano Frenzy, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss cool content like this. We're a growing community, and I can't wait to have you be a part of it. All right, so we're gonna get into it with our very first chord progression, which is the 1, 5, 6, 4 chord progression. So the first chord progression, one of my absolute favorites, is the 1, 5, minor 6, 4 chord progression. So we're gonna try this chord progression out in the key of C major. So we're gonna start with a 1 chord in C major, which is C, E, and G, right? Next, we're gonna go to G major. That takes care of our 5 chord. Then we're gonna go to A minor, A, C, E. That's our 6th chord. And then we're going to go to our 4 chord, F, A, C. So putting it all together. Now, because this is used in a lot of popular music and it's very emotionally stable, there's a lot of ways you can play this without actually shifting your hand so much. I like to call these inversions. So for example, I might start it in C like this, but for the G chord, maybe I'll just scoot these 2 fingers down and keep the G since it's already part of the 1 chord. And then for the A minor chord, rather than moving all the way down to A like this, I can just simply go to the G chord and scoot up a couple keys. And then for the last chord, the F chord, rather than jumping down to F like this, I can simply just do this and put down finger 3. So playing chords and inversions is actually a very popular thing to do. It helps with when you're trying to voice your notes and bring out certain tones, or if you have a melody in one hand, or if you just want ease of movement while you're playing the piano. So there are a couple popular songs that come to mind, but the biggest one is definitely going to be Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. And I'll show you an example of how you can use this chord progression in that piece. So as you can see, I played that piece in a couple different positions. Sometimes I was in root position and sometimes I was playing in different inversions. For example, I started in what I would call second inversion if you're thinking about music theory here, where G was the bottom key for my fingers, but C and the E were up top, right? Rather than playing it like this. Now how you want to play it really depends on you, what you're comfortable with, how you want to set your hands. But this is a wonderful chord progression to get comfortable with. You can play it in any key. It's pretty simple. As long as you have that minor 6 followed by that major 4, it's going to be really easy to start implementing this into your playing right away. So I hope you found that chord progression very helpful. It's very simple. It's just a couple of chords. And once you start adding inversions in your fingers, then things get even easier, less movement, right? Now we're going to go over to the next chord progression. All right, the next chord progression that I love using is the 1, 4, 5 chord progression. So it goes like this: 1 chord in C major, 4 chord, and the 5 chord. So what I really like about this chord progression is that everything's pretty close together, especially your 4 and your 5. So you can start on your 1, right? You jump up to your 4, but look, your 5 is right next to it. And so it's a nice way to start moving around the piano early if you want to get into that with your chord progressions, and if you don't want to play in different inversions. So a popular piece I can think of right now, popular song we all know, is La Bamba, which uses this chord progression. So it goes a little something like this. So as you can see, I was playing most of the melody in my right hand here, so sometimes I was doing some single notes and some passing tones, right? If you've seen my other videos on rhythm patterns, then you know how passing tones can help you get from one chord progression to the next. But I was making sure I was covering the bass notes of my harmonies in my left hand, right? The C, the F for the 4, and the G for the 5. And I think it's super important that when you're playing these and you're trying to add it to music, you find some foundation somewhere. It doesn't always have to be your right hand playing every single note of the chord. It could be your left hand just simply adding support and you're still playing the same harmonies. Another popular song that loosely uses this chord progression is Jingle Bells, right? We have That's our 1 chord. Then we go to the 4 chord, which is F major. The caveat, right, is that briefly we go back to the 1 chord. But then look where we go now. The 5 chord. So it is still that 1, 4, 5 progression, just with a little bit of extra in there. A brief moment where we're in the 1 chord again before going to the 5 chord. So go ahead and try this progression out. I think you'll be surprised just how many different popular songs you know actually use that simple 3 chord progression. So who doesn't love La Bamba, right? Right? All right, now we're gonna switch things up and go a little bit more the pop music route. I'll show you exactly what I mean. All right, the next chord progression, I really love this one because you hear it in a lot of very emotional music that's on the radio, pop music. And Sam Smith really made this one pretty popular with Stay With Me. So we're gonna do the minor 6, the major 4, and then the major 1 chord. So we're gonna have right, so we all know that from Stay With Me. So we have the A minor chord, which is the 6th of the C chord, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's why I call it minor 6. And I just double like with a bass note in my left hand for that. The 4 chord, F, A, C, I just double with my left hand, and then the 1 chord. So when you're playing a piece like Stay With Me that uses these chords, what might be really helpful is to definitely play in different inversions. So I'm thinking, okay, I need chords that have A, F, and C in it. So maybe I'll play the first chord, the A minor chord, rather than like this. I'll play it with the E on the bottom. That way the next chord that goes to the 4 chord, I just slide my thumb up so I can play the F. So I would just do this, slide it with the thumb. And then look, the last chord, just change my fingering. Now, if I want a different type of voicing, then maybe I'll go, and I'll kind of scoot the hands down. Maybe I'll add an extra key like my extra thumb or something like that. It just depends what I'm trying to go for. Or if I want something more mellow, maybe I'll play like a bit of a lower octave. So you may have some different ideas of what you want to do, how you want to finger it, how you want to adjust your chords. It really depends what you're trying to go for, whether you're trying to just outline the piece or if you're just trying to play a full out fledged melody. Adding arpeggios, different rhythm patterns in there. Depends how free you want it to be so you can do the different things that you want to do. So far the chords we've covered have talked a little bit about the older styles of music, right? Both covering some of the older rock music, and then we've also talked about some more popular music like Sam Smith. Now we're going to cover a completely different genre, which is jazz, and I think you're going to absolutely love these chords. These are my favorite ones to do right here. Okay, so the next one we're gonna do really is popular in a lot of jazz tunes, and that is the minor 2-7, the 5, and then the 1-7 chord. So when I'm talking about adding a 7th chord, I'm just talking about adding the 7th degree, the 7th scale degree to that note. So rather than just playing a D minor chord like such, I'll add the C up top because that is the 7th note, right? And so you get this instead. And that really jazzes it up. The 5 chord, we're just gonna keep it simple. I'm playing it in an inversion, right, but I'm still playing G, B, and D. And the reason I'm doing that is because my 1-7, which is in C, contains a B and my pinky's already there. Now I can just do this and limit my movement. So. So as you can see, I mixed it up. I added different accidentals. I mixed around the different chord progressions. I did different harmonies. But it all was birthed from that 2-7-5-1-7 chord. And really, that's the beautiful thing about jazz. It's experimental. You can really expand and jump around how you want to and get it just where you want it to be at. So if you're looking for a chord progression that will quickly get you into some of the jazz style, that's a great way to do it. Play the chords just simple like this first, right? Then start comping the rhythm, right? Start adding some rhythmic patterns like this. And then you can start adding passing tones and arpeggios. Everything that, if you have seen my very, very popular rhythm pattern video, you know exactly why I'm doing this. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure you click up there somewhere and then you'll see the link to it, and make sure you check the video out, or I'll just put it in the description so that you don't miss that video. So as you can see, that 2-7-5-1-7 is absolutely versatile. You can do so much stuff with it, and it's just, oh man, I would have you start with that one if you just wanted to start having fun right away. It's really easy to do. It's 3 chords and that you can just experiment as much as you want. Okay, last but not least, we're gonna cover the chord style that I like to call the movie theme music chord style. So let's talk about these chord progressions next. All right, so for this last chord progression that I wanna share with you, one of my favorite patterns is going to be the minor 1, the 7, and then the 5. So I like to do this one in the key of A minor because you hear this in a lot of movie themes, just that very like somber, thoughtful, reflective sort of music you hear at the end of movies all the time. Sometimes you see it in the post credits, sometimes you see it in the introduction. It just really depends. So in A minor, you'll have this. That's your 1 chord, your minor 1. That's gonna be your 7 chord, which is gonna be major. And then that's going to be your major 4 chord there. Adding with the left hand, just a simple chord. So I want to play some examples of how you can add this together and see how it can vary and grow just from a simple chord progression. So here we go. So as you can see from my example, it's very easy to kind of take it from something simple and then start growing it and just adding all kinds of passing tones in between, adding octaves, leaping around and jumping around, just making sure that you can just really fill it out. And you can do all that without reading too crazy in your left hand. Your right hand can kind of do everything you need it to do, and the left hand can just kind of keep simple rhythmic variations and octaves, keeping things full here. And another reason I love this chord progression is that everything is literally right next to each other, right? You got the A minor here. Your 7 chord is just down a second. You just scoot down, and if you want to make that 4 chord, you can keep the top key and just add 2 here. So if you're a beginner, it's a great way to get started because there's not too much movement happening there, just a couple variants going on. And there you have it. Those are easily, and I kid you not, those are easily my 5 most favorite chord progressions I like to go through. Those are the exact patterns that I use when I'm trying to experiment with music, or if I'm on a gig, or if I'm just having some fun, just playing at the piano, trying to learn and train my ear and just get better at different chord progressions. And then of course, make sure you do the inversions. That's actually an easier way to go about them because you have to do a lot less movement to get from one chord to the next. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment. Let me know how these are going for you. Try these chords out. Let me know if you're having any trouble. And of course, if you know some cool chord progressions I didn't cover, let me know, and maybe we can try another video and add some of those in there. I think that'd be really cool. And again, if you're new to the channel, make sure you check out some of these videos here at the end. I think they're gonna help you out. I'll see you guys around.